and welcome to this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network, and in studio today I'm glad to have Dr. Frederick Clark. He is the president of Bridgewater State University. I don't know if I've ever gotten used to that, by the way.
Yeah, the university.
You go up, you grow up with Bridgewater State College.
Yeah.
It's just habit forming, and if I slip, I don't mean it intentionally.
No, it's okay.
But I know it's BSU now instead of BSC.
We've been promoted. Thanks for having me, Jim.
It's great to have you in. I mean, as I was telling you off camera, I think your story is fantastic. You just celebrated your 10th year as president of Bridgewater State. You're a graduate of Bridgewater State.
Yep.
You're a kid from Brockton. I mean, you're a local kid, and you're here locally.
Yep.
And do you still pinch yourself when you think about it?
Well, it's all made possible through education. Without education, I would be an electrician like my father, and it's a very honorable profession. I could probably wire these lights today. But what education does is it opens doors that you couldn't have imagined going through. I never would have imagined being the president of my university, but here I am, thanks to education.
And your family is your wife, your kids, Bridgewater graduates.
It's all Bridgewater all the time, 24/7.
Talk about just Bridgewater. I mean, people say, well, why is the president of Bridgewater here? But there's a strong connection between Bridgewater State and New Bedford, and southeastern Massachusetts, really, in general.
There is. 95% of Bridgewater students come from Massachusetts, all throughout Massachusetts, but particularly southeastern Massachusetts. Today, we have hundreds of students at BSU from New Bedford. We have many of our faculty staff live in this great city, and we have about 1,500 alumni that live right here. We're deeply, deeply connected to this city, both the school system and the government itself, and we also have an aviation program that's located at the New Bedford Municipal Airport as well. So there's many, many reasons for us to be connected, so I'm happy to be here.
And so many teachers that are teaching right now in New Bedford are graduates of the teaching program.
More than half. More than half of BSU, that's true.
That's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Looking at the overview right now, as you complete 10 years and the 11th year is starting right now.
Yep.
Where are we right now? What are the challenges, I guess, the sort of some of the challenges that you're looking at, but talk about the positive things right now. There's a lot of new programs that you're offering that weren't around before.
Yeah, there are. So first of all, we're 185 years old this year, founded by Horace Mann, the father of public education, and also Daniel Webster, John Quincy Adams. But we were founded to provide an equalized educational opportunity for the underprivileged. Back in 1840, everyone had a primary school education, but only the privileged had a secondary school education. You didn't go to middle school or to high school unless you had resources, unless you were rich. Forget about college. That was even for the ultra rich. Horace Mann had an idea, let's provide educational opportunity for all. So our institution was founded, the third in the country to be founded as a teacher prep institution to normalize the teaching of education. But the real purpose was to bring education to the masses, to everybody. It's good for democracy, it's good for the economy, it's good for society, and it changes lives. So that philosophy has animated everything we do at Bridgewater for 185 years, and most definitely everything we do today. So we still are the state's largest producer of teachers, but we're also the state's largest producer of social workers. We produce pilots, we produce chemists, we produce biologists. We produce folks that are experts in small business. We produce accountants. So our programs are much more comprehensive, and our more recent program is one of the best programs in the nation, and that's for cybersecurity. So we continue to evolve to meet the needs, in this case, of southeastern Massachusetts and our students.
And you have to adjust to that when you think about it. I don't know if it's every year, but every few years you have to adjust to what the demands are or the needs are.
Yeah.
You got to tweak the educational classes that you have.
You do. You have to stay relevant to the employer community. You have to be relevant to your students. So for us at BSU, every single one of our 10,000 students is there to get a great education that leads to meaningful employment. Meaningful as they determine it to be, or as they define it to be. So if you're not relevant on a pathway to a job, you should really close your doors. So for us, and we've been ranked by the Wall Street Journal as one of the best colleges or universities in America based on return on investment, because we know that our students need to have a pathway that leads to employment. a good job. And that's what we relentlessly focus on at BSU for our students. And Bridgewater is a popular place right now because of that emphasis on pathways to employment. We have 1,000 paid internships. We have the largest job fair in Southeastern Mass, the largest internship fair as well. Employers are knocking on our door almost every single day, to be perfectly truthful, because they want local talent that they can hire and retain. And our students at Bridgewater and in public hire generally have a work ethic that's pretty remarkable. And they're as diverse as our region is as well. So it's a popular place for employers to knock on doors as well.
Your challenge too, I would think, is that Bridgewater, I mean, there's 4 schools, if you will, in southeastern Massachusetts with Bristol, Massasoit, and if you want to throw Mass Maritime in B5,
Yep.
UMass Dartmouth being the other 2. But it's such a tough area.
Yeah.
I would imagine, you know, so many of kids, or not even kids, but people that go to Bridgewater are first generation students that go there whose parents or families never gone there.
That's right.
And the needs are greater perhaps than other places.
Yeah. I think Southeastern Mass has always been left behind when it comes to educational attainment. So public higher ed, which dominates in this part of the region, all the institutions and our friends that you mentioned, really have to work hard to keep the doors open for access for our students. And access begins with affordability. So we have to remain affordable for the students that we serve. So at Bridgewater State, if you're a commuter, which most of our students are, you pay a little under $12,000 per year to get an education. But we this year launched something called the Bridgewater Commitment. If you come from a family that earns $125,000 or less, you will go to Bridgewater State as a commuter for free. Now that's built on Pell Grants, it's built on state financial aid, and please don't cut those two, but it's also built on what the institution puts in. We put $20 million of our own money, which separates us from all the other public higher ed institutions to be able to get to that number. That is critically important. If we're unaffordable, we're inaccessible, and we should close the doors of these institutions. We have to keep it affordable and excellent for the students we're privileged to serve.
The other thing too is it's critically important for the local institutions to work with the communities or to have relationships with the communities too. I mean, as I said right at the top, I mean, people don't realize the relationship between Bridgewater State and the city of New Bedford and the surrounding towns, Greater New Bedford in general. You do have the aviation school. I mean, it's important. How important is it for the school to have some sort of, I don't want to say anchor, but tentacle, if you will, in the city?
Yeah, I can't imagine having a wall around the institution. It doesn't make any sense to be a regional comprehensive public institution and not be engaged with the communities we're privileged to partner with. In New Bedford, we have a deep and long-standing partnership with the public schools, of course. So we just this year launched an early college program with New Bedford Public Schools. We have, for many years, brought New Bedford students to Bridgewater State for college immersion opportunities as well. That partnership continues. We have a very, very close relationship with the mayor, the city council, the business community here as well. We're relevant to the city of New Bedford. But our aviation program is unique. We have the only aviation program in a university or college in all of New England.
I was going to say that. I mean, nobody understands that. That's huge.
So, you know, and it is based in New Bedford. So we have 13 airplanes. We have a whole facility to train our pilots, and it's a very, very popular program. I had 50 applications for, 500 applications for 50 spots this year. It's very, very popular. But it's also a challenging program to manage, as you can only imagine. We have simulators and everything else. This week, we will be doing a ribbon cutting on a brand new hangar to have our planes a little more protected from this unpredictable New England weather. And we're really grateful to Congressman Bill Keating, Senator Markey, and Senator Warren for providing some funding through the federal government, and of course to the Airport Commission, the mayor, the city council for being a part of our partnership here at New Bedford, and in this case the New Bedford Municipal Airport.
How, for that program, because as you said, it's the only one in New England,
Yeah.
what makes that work? How does that, I mean, that certainly separates the university from anything else, but, and you said it's competitive. How does that work? How does that translate?
Yeah, as I said, it's challenging, but it's the most affordable aviation program east of the Mississippi. So again, affordability matters. But it wouldn't work if we didn't have partnerships with the aviation industry, with airlines, with the state government, of course, with the federal government, the FAA in particular. So there's a lot of, I'll just say it this way, there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen to try to produce pilots or people who will work in the aviation industry. So
it's a good thing. It's not just pilots you're talking about.
No, anybody in the aviation industry.
Right.
I was talking to a couple of brand new students yesterday. They want to work basically at a Logan airport or a regional airport to do airport management, which is another whole section. We also have an emerging program on drone technology, and drones are a big thing.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, we love that program. It's critically important to the industry. It's really important, I think, in a higher ed setting. As challenging as it is, we've made a long-term commitment to stay right here in New Bedford, to work with all of our partners, and to continue to produce pilots and other folks who can work in the aviation industry.
Well, you talk about adapting to the times, the aviation industry. I mean, there's a need for pilots, there's a need for air traffic controllers. I mean, the demand for qualified people is huge right now.
Yeah. It's part of my problem. They hire our students so quickly.
Really?
We really need them to stay for about a year. We hire them as certified flight instructors. So because they get hired so quickly into the aviation industry, I need to do a little more work to keep our students, once they graduate, to be, we call them CFIs, to help train our other students, within an umbrella of other staff that are down there. So that demand is real, and it's not just in the United States, it's global.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
global.
I mean, you see the news about in the country, but talk about cybersecurity too, because again, that's a new field. But again, as you look at the aviation, the demand for cybersecurity, I know, and I'm sure it's like that at Bridgewater. I mean, your IT guys are strung out.
Yeah. So every week at Bridgewater State, we have 140,000 phishing attacks on the institution from all over the world. Everybody is under attack all the time. Your privacy, your data is trying to be absorbed or confiscated by others for nefarious reasons. But of all of the jobs in cybersecurity, the problem is there's plenty of jobs, but there's not enough people with credentials to fill them. In Massachusetts today, there's 20,000 open jobs in cybersecurity. Nationally, there's 700,000, and they pay very well. To start, about 138,000.
Wow.
So we didn't have really cybersecurity programs, believe it or not, in Massachusetts at scale. So yes, we have an undergrad degree, we have a certificate, we have a graduate degree, but what we built is something unique. We have a cyber range, which is a massive cyber simulator where you can practice, our students can practice getting out of these kind of hacks. We also bring in municipalities, we bring in businesses, we bring in hospitals, we bring in law enforcement to use the facility as well. It's become very popular. We also have something that's even more unique, a security operations center, which we just opened a couple of months ago. So at Bridgewater State, in partnership with the state of Massachusetts, Cyber Trust Massachusetts in particular, we have a group of folks that are monitoring in real time actual cyber threats to southeastern Massachusetts public entities and taking action to mitigate them. So with the degree, with the simulator, with the Security Operations Center, no one in the country has that kind of a fleet of opportunities for, in this case, students. So we've had the White House, we've had the FBI, we've had the Pentagon, State Police, we've had Cyber Command, we've had just about everybody that pays attention to these things check as to what we were doing so that it can be replicated across the country. It needs to be replicated.
How is the interest in the program?
It's really strong. We had about 200 students apply for, in this case, 40 spots. The hard part for us is hiring faculty that are qualified to teach, so we've been upskilling and upgrading the numbers of faculty that we have to teach in that program to meet that really wonderful demand. But if you're a computer science major, you really need to do at least a module in cybersecurity, because you will get a job and it pays really wonderfully, and the demand is really huge.
One of the great things that the university does too is that it has a strong connection with this Cape Verdean community across southeastern Massachusetts, but obviously in New Bedford as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Our previous president, Dr. Dana Mullafaria,
great guy.
Yeah, wonderful guy. I was his vice president. We've known each other for our entire careers. But he helped to found the University of Cape Verde about 22 years ago. So, and I was a vice president at that time, but I've been to Cape Verde myself 14 times to tend to that relationship with the University of Cape Verde, but also to build a bridge to the Cape Verdean diaspora that is huge in this region. There are as many people of Cape Verdean heritage, the diaspora in this region, as there are in all of Cape Verde today. Just in southeastern Massachusetts and northern Rhode Island. Many, many, many of our students have Cape Verdean heritage. So we've worked with the school systems to make connections so they better understand the students that are in front of them. We've worked with businesses so that they can better understand their customers of Cape Verdean descent. We've worked with the federal government, our federal government, and the national government of Cape Verde as well. It's one of our most important relationships around the world, even though we have partnerships all around the world with Bridgewater State and other countries and other institutions, a true global university.
But it sort of goes back to what you were saying before of knowing, in a sense, knowing your audience,
yeah,
knowing your communities.
Yeah. Yeah, and more recently, you know, we've deepened our partnerships in Portugal for the exact same reasons, and the Azores. So I had the ambassador to the United States from Portugal on our campus just a couple weeks ago. So we've struck partnerships in Portugal and Lisbon. We already have a partnership with the University of the Azores. And the reason that we're doing that, in combination, by the way, with UMass Dartmouth, who has an excellent Portuguese center, we're doing that to meet the needs of our students at Bridgewater State of Portuguese descent, which is huge.
Education in general right now, there's obviously a lot of talk at the national level about the value of a college education or a higher education degree. And I guess you could even start with an associate's degree and work your way up.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. What is the value right now? What is the return on the investment of a higher education degree?
Yeah, you know, so I was first generation as well, and half of our students are first generation. If you want maximum opportunity, maximum flexibility in your career, you have to have a college degree to open doors. That's just the truth. Massachusetts is the #1 state for requiring a workforce with higher ed credentials, whatever the level is. During the recession in 1998, 2008, during the pandemic, the people who lost jobs in those economic downturns primarily had high school diplomas or less. The more education you have, the more protected you are against economic downturns. During COVID and during those two recessions, the people that gained jobs during that time were people that had the most education. So the more education you have, the more opportunities you have, the more you're inoculated against economic downturns. The average person in the United States today will have somewhere between 10 and 13 jobs. I was telling you before, I'm on my 10th job. I hope it's the last one. If you have a higher ed degree, you have more opportunities to adapt to what will come next. The more narrowly trained you are for one position, the less chance you'll have to adapt to the next one. College really makes a difference, and I've seen it in my own life, and I see it every day with our 10,000 students.
The other question that people have is obviously the affordability. You were touching on that earlier, that it is important. And again, I think the emphasis, the importance is even more important in an area like southeastern Massachusetts. I mean, I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Bridgewater State or UMass Dartmouth to keep costs affordable, because the average salary is not as high as it would be in Boston.
That's right. But you know, this is the beauty of the community colleges and public higher ed, because if you're low income or moderate to low income, you can go to a community college for free for 2 years, get an associate's, and if you're at that 125,000 or less marker, you're going to go to Bridgewater State for free. You're going to graduate with no debt. And then you're going to be able to have a job of your hopes and dreams. And if you want to serve the public, you'll be able to do that without struggling, you know, to make college debt payments as well. So this is a great time to go to higher ed, especially public higher ed, especially in southeastern Massachusetts as well. So whether it's Bristol to UMass Dartmouth, Bristol to Bridgewater, or some combination thereof, there's no better time to go and get a credential in higher ed than right now.
You were talking about the relationship you have with the city's middle schools here, how the kids go there. Are you finding that you have to do more outreach like that to attract kids to go to college? Or I'm not just saying you Bridgewater State, but is that critical to higher ed's future, is to show young people how important it is?
I think so. You know, I remember we had a partnership with the Roosevelt School in New Mandan, and we did a college immersion program at Bridgewater. I talked to a young student who was an 8th grader, and that 8th grader said, I said, what do you want to do? He said, well, I want to be an electrician. My father was an electrician myself, so I understand. Why do you want to be an electrician? Because my father's an electrician, my uncle's an electrician, the guy across the street's an electrician. That's what I know. We took that student to MIT, and he learned about electrical engineering. And when he came back, at the end of 2 weeks, I said to him, do you still want to be an electrician? He said, you know, I never knew there was such a thing as an electrical engineer. It's a similar, you know, set of skills, but it goes beyond. That kind of immersion, to be able to see, you know, have a wider vision of what's possible, is hugely important. And it isn't just outreach to the schools and to the students, it's also outreach to the parents, so that they can lean in, so they can see a wider vision of opportunity for their sons or daughters.
Talk a little bit about the, again, the federal government right now. There's talk, obviously, about what should be taught.
Yeah.
How much, you know, a liberal arts education used to be a fine degree to get, and now it's, I mean, you see colleges sort of dropping programs and the like.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. How important is it to keep that sort of liberal arts, diverse education?
Yeah, so at Bridgewater, all of our students have something we call general education. It really is like the liberal arts. So if you want to be a police officer and you don't take psychology, you're not going to be well served to be a police officer. If you want to go into finance and you don't take psychology or economics or sociology, you're not going to understand the context within which you work. We believe that that foundation is critical for any of our programs going forward. We've cut no programs, but we've made sure that the programs we have are relevant to the current workforce and to our students. The federal government should not be telling higher ed institutions what to teach. That's anti-American. It's un-American. That's never been the case for the entire history of this country. So I think we have to leave it to the institutions to teach what they think is best for students, and the students to tell the institutions what they want. You know, and our students aren't forced to go to our institutions. If we're not relevant to them, they're going to vote with their feet and go to a different institution. Those are market forces. That's the American way. So if an institution is not relevant to students, they're going to go somewhere else that is. And I think that's okay. But the federal government shouldn't be telling institutions what to teach. I don't think that's the appropriate role of the federal government in a bipartisan, nonpartisan way.
How important is our extracurricular activities to higher education experience, and the importance of those activities to that degree?
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, we have the biggest undergraduate research program in the country, next to Harvard University, so you can do research in your field, separate you from everyone else. 1,800 students did undergraduate research. That's one example. We do community service. But we also have internships. Internships are hugely important. You know, you can call them what you want. You know, but really what it is it's work experience that connects your major to your future employment. So at Bridgewater State, we have 1,000 paid internships we provide the funding for to give students an opportunity to try out their field. When I was a Bridgewater student, I did an internship with the United States Congressman Joe Moakley. It led to a whole career. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for that internship.
Which is, amazing that you served with him for 18 years. And the education working for him is unbelievable.
Well, we know that those you know, we call them high impact practices, are transformative to our students, truly. So we also have study tours, study abroad. You can go almost anywhere in the world through Bridgewater State. We're all global citizens. We have to be mindful of our place in the world as individuals and also as a country. And there's many other opportunities as well. You can be in sports, you can be in student clubs, and many other ways to learn leadership skills and learn how to work together and respect each other.
Those are so much important. You talk about sports or clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are every bit as important to your degree or to your college experience as as much as education is.
It really is. Yeah, I think so. Of course, what you learn in the classroom is invaluable, but what you learn out of the classroom is invaluable as well. It's one of the reasons why, even though we have online classes, we really prefer to have students find a way to come in, to interact with each other. You learn how to socialize, you learn how to lead, you get involved in different experiences that you can't do
Teamwork,
really online.
just working with other people.
Yeah, it's really, really important. We have 100 clubs, student clubs and organizations on our campus. And I was talking to students yesterday who want to be lawyers, will join the pre-law club. You want to work for the federal government, join the political science club. You want to be in finance, well, be in a club that we have where we have $200,000 in real money that you can invest. It's an investors club. There's a place for everybody, and I always say, find your people. You can find your people at BSU.
And you're gaining experience. You may not know it, but you're gaining experience, like you said. It's kind of like an internship, if you will, without even knowing about it.
That's right. Just one other thing. We have 1,000 jobs on campus for students.
Yep.
So if you want to do marketing, communications, we can hire you to work for, we basically have almost a public relations firm within our institution. If you want to be in IT, we hire our students. So we hire 1,000 of our students to do work that really, hopefully, in most cases, connects directly to their interest in career, and it's another line on their resume.
And we got about a minute and a half left, but a great way, too, is if people are interested. I mean, you have a wide alumni network, and that's hugely important, and it's probably your best advertising tool as well.
Yeah. There's 85,000 alums in Southeastern Mass. I'm just one of them. And I've met many, and they want to find a way to open a door of opportunity for the students that came after them. They're really motivated to help to build opportunities for our students. And for us, that's what it's all about. It's about our students.
For folks that are interested in Bridgewater State, what's the best thing for them to do? I know there are seniors right now that are trying to figure out what they want to do, or juniors. Yep. What do you advise them to do? Well,
come to Bridgewater if you can, do a tour. But if you want to get just general information, bridgew.edu is where that's our website with all the information you might want to have. And you can always call me, 508-531-1201, and I'll make the connection for you.
That's great. Great to see you.
You too, Jim. Thank you for having me.
Great show. And hopefully we can do it again in a not too distant future.
Whenever you're ready.
All righty. That's going to do it for this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.